The October midterm budget policy statement made provision for a 4.7% wage increase for public workers, but government earlier this year tabled a 5.5% salary increase for 2025 as their final offer. Government workers were looking for that offer to be solidified in the February budget, with the South African Federation of Trade Unions SABC Newton Masuku saying the postponement left workers feeling anxious.
Workers are anxious. Remember, the state has already set precedents by reneging on a wage agreement during COVID-19. I think it was 2020 or 2021 by reneging, citing fiscal crisis, saying, look, the state does not have sufficient funds to be able to honor that particular agreement. And therefore, at this particular moment, given the fact that the budget has had to be postponed because there were battles within the so-called GNU on whether or not VAT should be increased, workers are most certainly anxious about that.
The National Treasury says the cost of paying public servants has surged from 154 billion rand in 2006 to 679.1 billion rand in 2024. The public sector wage bill is one of South Africa's largest line items on the expenditure side, accounting for roughly 1/3 of the total expenditure in the budget. COSATU's Matthew Parks has challenged this assertion, saying the wage bill is failing to protect workers against difficult economic cycles.
We can't do a shortcut. Austerity budget cuts weaken the state. They actually suffocate the economy. They impoverish workers. I think for us, it's taking a longer-term approach. People also say the wage bill is out of control, that public servants get paid more than the private sector. But you don't have 1 million farm workers in the public sector. You instead have 100,000 nurses. You don't have construction workers, mine workers, clothing workers, etc. in the public sector, where in the private sector they get paid peanuts. Instead, in the public sector, you've got skilled professionals. So you need to compare what a doctor earns in the public sector versus what they would earn in the private sector, and then you will find the private sector positions are far better off. But I think also people have said the wage bill is out of control. About 2 decades ago, it was about 40% of the budget. Since 2008, it's been about 35% of the budget. And over the last 2 years, it's decreased to 31% of the budget. So in fact, the wage bill has decreased substantially.
The Public Servants Association's Claude Naika says the delivery of crucial services is compromised from an underpaid, demotivated and highly indebted labor force that will be looking to the finance minister for relief.
We've noticed in the previous budget, or the draft budget itself, if you want to call it that, the so-called postponed one, there was very little money that was allocated to essential departments like Department of Health and especially the Department of Education, taking into account that the Western Cape government and KZN has indicated they do not have sufficient money to employ new educators and take over those educators that were either on contract or on a fixed term contract, so to speak. So that is of real concern to us. Also, the SABC received is very little money that has been allocated in the budget to these 3 essential departments.
Labour expert Mujalifa Musi says the finance minister finds himself in a difficult position.
It's unfortunate that we see the trade-off between wage bill and budget cuts, right? I don't think that it's reducible to whether or not you cut the wage bill, and by implication, the wage bill leads to some balance in the budget. Right? As I say, the economic crisis is multifaceted, and you are supposed to deal with a range of factors that includes the expenditure of the state, not only the wage bill. The expenditure of the state, that includes the money that is allocated or that's supposed to be spent by the executive.
The workers maintain government has itself to blame for the lack of economic growth. Public servants are calling for members of the public to join them for a demonstration outside Parliament on Budget Day. They vowed to reject a revised budget that does not speak to their needs. Expectations are for the new 5.5% salary increase for government workers to kick in on the 1st of April 2025. Katlego Logodi, SABC News in Johannesburg.